In Chapter 5, we learned about the periodic and the perpetual inventory systems that are out there for companies to track their inventory. They choose one or the other. In the perpetual system, you remember companies have their inventory accounts and their cost of goods sold balances updated continually, transaction by transaction. And in the periodic system, that doesn't happen. So at the end of every period, accounting period, companies have to count their inventory, and that will help them determine how much inventory they have on hand and therefore how much cost of goods sold they have for the period. In this chapter, we get at costing inventory. How do you put a cost to the inventory balance that you have at the end of any given accounting period? It primarily is going to focus on the periodic method because under that method, like I said a second ago, companies don't have an inventory balance at the end of a month. They have to go count their inventory to see what they've got. So the first step in that is going to be taking a physical inventory. That means counting what you've got. So literally, that's a really hard job and time-consuming job for most big companies that have lots of different types of inventory. But they have to go count what they've got first, count all the different types of inventory. So you can read about that right here. There is a couple of complicating factors. You could own stuff that you don't have in your warehouse, so we have to deal with goods in transit. Who owns them? There are these terms of sales, FOB shipping point and FOB destination. It stands for free on board. FOB shipping point, FOB destination. What these are talking about is they help you determine who owns the goods, depending whether if they're in transit. So if the seller sells goods FOB shipping point to the buyer, then that means the ownership passes at the shipping point. So that means the buyer owns them from the moment the seller ships them. So the whole time they're on the truck, the buyer owns them. FOB destination is the opposite. The seller owns the goods all the way through the transportation process until they get to the buyer's place of business. So you might imagine there's room for negotiation here. Nobody wants to own the goods while they're in the carrier's hands because they've got to insure them then, so it costs more money. So it's a point of negotiation between buyers and sellers. So, but that needs to be figured out. And so if you determine that a company owns goods while they're in transit, then that amount of goods needs to be added to the company's count to be included in their inventory balance at the end of the year. Consigned goods are just goods that are on hold at some other location to be sold by that other location. They still belong to the company that put them there. So if I own some inventory and I want to have some other company sell it, they've got possession of the goods, but they're still included in my inventory. So I have to add consigned goods back into my inventory count too.